Hey, folks, it's the man with the pinky ring and the New York thing. Forget about it. Bad Brad Berkwitt. And you are?
I am Debbie Edwards. Go Tigers. Remember, if you ain't a tiger, you're simply tiger bait.
I like that for an opening. Folks, we didn't rehearse that. That's her thing. If you didn't know, Louisiana lady over here loves her LSU and her Aints. I mean Saints
Hey, watch
team.
it.
Saints team.
Watch your
So
mouth.
this is our debut show of a world's view from us two. To give you a little background on how the show is going to be run, produced, there's nothing scripted. It's whatever Debbie has on her mind, whatever I have on my mind, and it could be anything and everything. So be prepared.
And it could be dangerous.
It could be. It could be. It could be her giving me the business. It could be me giving her the business. But it's going to be fun. And again, unscripted, unrehearsed. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. I greatly appreciate that. And Debbie does too. Leave comments below the video. We will both interact with you. It'll be my login, but we will both respond. If it's a comment to Debbie, she will respond through my account. So with this debut show, I'm going to start with what I have for Debbie. Something that you and I talk about all the time. And you know, it drives me crazy. And I talk about it on Twitter and I talk about it in our personal conversations. Something I do not claim to be, but I do have empathy and I do have an understanding being in a relationship with you and the mother of my son and so on, being my ex-wife, being African-American, something that drives me nuts. And I want to get your take on it. In a MAGA world today, I don't understand how any African-American, male or female, can support a party of Trump who was a racist, forget all the other traits of misogyny, narcissism, and treason and grifter and all the other things that he is, how they can support this party that truly doesn't support them, as in Candace Owens, Larry Elder, the late Herman Cain, Herschel Walker, and a lot of other people that I'm Leo Terrell, several other people, polyester and silk, diamonds and silk, whatever they are this week. People like that. I want to get your take when you see that.
Okay. Well, first of all, I guess I would start off by saying that black people, African Americans, are not a monolith, right? We all have different experiences. We all have different backgrounds. We all have different perspectives. I was raised in South Louisiana. My culture is a whole lot different than where we're living right now, Northwest Indiana. So their viewpoint may be a little bit different than my viewpoint, but you're right. You're asking me as an individual what my take on this is, and here it goes. I think there's probably a couple of different factors at work. White supremacy is a hell of a drug. So with that comes power. And I think sometimes people are attracted to having a proximity to power. And I think that might be some of what you see with some of these folks who want to align themselves with a party that basically supports and houses white supremacists. So that's one thing. Another thing might be some people, and I've seen this on social media, some people quite frankly hate themselves. They hate the skin that they're in. They hate, I think, what they may term as the burden of being a minority in the society. We know that this society really is, as much as we talk about different countries, this society has a bit of a caste system that's similar to what India has. And some of it is predicated on wealth, but a lot of it is predicated on position within society. So minorities, unfortunately, and you can go back, years and years to the early 1900s and trace this. As different minorities came in, they came in at the bottom of the caste, so to speak. Some of them had the ability to kind of they were able to get themselves into mainstream. I don't think that really could happen a lot with Black America. To a degree, first or second generation, if a person has that first or second generation that close in their ancestry, you're going to recognize most likely the person being an African American. And to people that are racist, that's a problem. To people that are racist, I don't care how fair your complexion is, the minute that they discern that you're Black, they discern that, or they default to the prejudices that a lot of people hold. I was told, or I saw something, and I didn't read it. I just saw the headline, with even Trump at one time allegedly dating a biracial woman, and it attributed the positive qualities of her to the European in her ancestry. So this is what I mean when I say, a lot of times people kind of fall into a categorization, but they don't escape it. And I think you people like Candace Owens and Herschel Walker and Larry Elder and these folks wish to escape what burden it is in this society of being a minority.
So do you feel that they're selling out their race by doing it?
Absolutely. I think it's selfish. I think that it's short-sighted. I think that what they don't realize is, because they've actually bought into the stereotype about people that look like them, about people that look like me. I am not that stereotype. I know a lot of other people who are not that stereotype, and that's just what it is it's a stereotype. So, I think they hear the negativity. We've all lived it all of our lives, and I think that they don't want to be aligned with that. I think that they have the desire to assimilate, much like Italians assimilated, much like Jews assimilated, much like the Irish assimilated. A lot of times in the United States, if you see your run-of-the-mill white person, unless they tell you their last name or they are really, really close to their home country as far as generations, you won't know what their ethnicity is. You won't know what country. You may not recognize somebody just by looking at them as Polish, as opposed to Austrian, as opposed to English. A person may not know that. So with white is the assimilation, the amalgamation probably is a better term for that.
Okay,
but
let me chime in with this too. Do you think that if shit were to hit the fan and there was a civil war and they started purging, that group of people, the Candace Owens, Larry Elder, that they think that they're safe because they assimilated, but I feel in the end, they're going to be thrown under the bus too. They may not get it right away, but they're going to get it.
Well, you don't have to go any further to look at what happened in the Deep South during slavery to prove that point is true. There were people that were enslaved that were near and dear to the slave owner's heart, in that they may have allowed them to stay in their houses, and they had easier task than other slaves. But when bad came to worse, and at the Civil War time, they pretty much reminded everybody who they were. So absolutely, I think if it came to that, I think if it came to a race war, I think they would be reminded of where they stand in society.
Okay, what you got for me?
It's kind of funny because maybe it's a good segue into what we were talking about, even though I think might be a little bit broader. I was thinking more on the lines of balance. And what has happened in our society today, where we just simply seem to have lost balance. It's mind-boggling to me. And here's what I'm talking about. Okay, so I'm from Louisiana, so I keep up with a lot of news in Louisiana. And I think this is going on all over the country, but like I said, this is specific to what happened in Louisiana. So not too long ago, there was a incident where, or there have been several incidents, so let me be broader here, where young people, 15, 16, 17 years old, are carjacking, and they don't, with impunity. They don't care what happens to the person that they carjack. I've heard that up here too, very disturbing. Some young people carjacked a woman who was like 8 or 9 months pregnant. She was working, she's trying to earn a living, and you have these young people coming up just, carjacking. And there's a big back and forth because naturally when some people hear crime, they automatically default to it's got to be an African American, which is not the truth. All people commit crimes, but in these cases the children were African American. I call them children because they're teenagers. They need to be punished for what they did. They impacted people's lives. In some cases people lost their lives. But then the pendulum swings to the left and it swings to the right, and it's extreme. And I don't think either side gets what the issue is and will actually be able to solve it. And here's what I mean by that. To the left, people are thinking because these children are 15, 16, 17 years old, they should be given some sort of pass. I don't agree with that. I think that they need to be held liable for what they did. They need to be punished. I would hope that rehabilitation would be on the forefront, that whatever led them down that path, that could be explored, and that they can turn from their way. On the flip side, you have people wanting these children to be placed in what to me is the worst prison in Louisiana, which is Angola, which, I mean, it's infamous, right? 15, 16, 17-year-old children, I don't think belong in general population with older adult prisoners. I don't think that's where they belong. I think that they'll easily be preyed upon, and if they're not preyed upon, I think then they will be programmed and may come out worse because, of the influence there, if they fall into an element of bad influence. So I was thinking about this. There's somewhere along the line, there has to be a balance. Somewhere along the line, they have to pay for what they did, but we as a society cannot just throw these children away because likely, depending on the severity of their crimes or other circumstances, some of them will come back into society. And when they come back, we want them to be productive members of society. So I think people get their emotion a lot of time. Their emotions kind of override judgment. I guess it could happen to me if it was a relative of mine that either did carjack or was carjacked. I might have an element of anger there, or an element of maybe surprise, or maybe wanting to protect. But balance would require that the person did commit a crime. They need to pay for it. But I am a civilized person, so I don't think that they should be brutalized either. I just wonder, where are the people who feel like in the middle of the road that, yes, you have to pay for your crimes. And yes, we have an obligation to try to make sure that anybody that's reintroduced into society is fit to be reintroduced in society. It's just the lack of balance troubles me. What do you think about that?
I agree with everything you just said. I can't really add anything to it because we talk about this all the time. And I remember a month or 2 or 3 ago, you told me there was I want to say like 80-plus-year-old woman that was carjacked, and it wasn't bad enough that she was carjacked; they killed her. It's out of control. The only thing I can add to that is it doesn't minimize the carjacking part, but it's like it's evolved. It used to be carjacking. They take the car, which is bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm not minimizing that. That's a crime in itself. But now it's no regard for life. We've become a society. But you know, on a smaller scale, this is along the same lines. When I was young, and in my generation, I hate to sound like this, but it's the truth. If we got in a fight, it was one of those, okay, look, we're going to meet at the flagpole after school and we're going to fight. But the rules were, if one guy started getting his butt kicked, they would break it up. They weren't going to kick his teeth in. They weren't going to send him to the emergency room. You fought, and most of the time you were friends. Or if you weren't friends, that was the end of the beef. Now it's, I'm going to shoot you and kill you. There's no more, I'm going to meet you at the flagpole. This mentality of a generation that is doing this, because I don't know what the statistics are on carjacking, but from the carjacking things that I've seen, it's a younger generation that has no regard for life anymore. And it's not just in carjacking, it's in our society. I don't know where that came from. I used to blame parents a lot. You can still blame parents to a certain extent, but I've seen parents that raised their kids to the best of their ability, and their kids still did these crazy things. But the rest of everything that you said, I absolutely agree with. That's all I can add to it. It's a tragedy, and it has to be dealt with, and it have to be held accountable. Period. End of story on that. Do you want to add anything else to that?
Yeah, I think a lot about this because it is troubling. It is troubling to me. And a couple of years ago, I came across an article about juvenile delinquent elephants. And that kind of fascinated me.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
We talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
And if anybody's listening, Google it. I think it was a 60-minute segment, but it was interesting. I'm not saying that's the only problem, because I think that's something else that we as a society do. We want to assign one problem, one solution, when we need to realize that there's a whole lot of other contributing factors. So a parent may have done their level best. It may have been a 2-parent household, because that's one of the things that the juvenile delinquent elephants did kind of highlight, is the fact that the absence of a male figure with those elephants, the testosterone rose when the male figures left, and that caused them, or and kind of spurred them on into being bullies. They were bullies. But when they brought that element back, when they brought those the grown male elephants back, it kind of got them in line and on track. Of course, human beings were the cause of it, because they're the ones that killed the male elephants off in the first place, the adult elephants off in the first place. But it was an unintended consequence. So, I mean, we could talk for hours on what the parallel is within the human race, with some of the things that were done and some of the things that were allowed and some of the unintended consequences from there. But, I know we have a problem. It's disturbing to me, because a lot of the young people today, and I'm not just going to pick on young people, because if we start with old people, that's a whole nother segment. Because remember, some of the reason why we're in the mess that we're in is because of the generations prior to us. So this is not a pick on young people. But some of the younger people that's coming up right nowadays have no alliances. There used to be some level of respect for older people. A lot of that is gone by the wayside. They figure that there's something that they want and where they stand, and anybody in between can be eliminated from their path. It doesn't matter. So, it's disheartening to me to see things like this. Naturally, we all want a better world for our children. So, you kind of hope a lot of this stuff gets in check. But a lot of it is just within the home itself, and then some of it is within the individual themselves, that even if they make a couple of bad choices, that hopefully they'll wake up and see that that's not the way to live life.
Okay, let's segue into some fun. try something that we do a lot in our house that the average person doesn't get to see. We're both smart asses, and we both have a dialogue that we can't say out of our house, but this is going to be fun. So what I want to do here, Debbie Lynn, is I want to improv like we do at home sometimes. So this is the scene that I want to do. And this isn't rehearsed, folks. So, and this is something that we see a lot out here. So here is the scene. I'm going to assign you a role, and then I'm going to play the other role. So here's the role. You are canvassing the neighborhood as a Democrat, as a person for the Democratic Party. You are coming to my house, not knowing who I am, but I am a MAGA, all the way in Trump supporter. Trump 2024, baby. So I want you to start the scene or get in scene with knocking on the door and starting out as talking about, it could be a fictitious candidate, or it could be Mervan. You know, Mervan is from here, he's running. It could be from Mervan, whoever. I'm going to play the MAGA 2024 guy. So
you
go
would
ahead.
want me. You would want me to knock on a door, but don't go there. Knock, 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 knock.
Who is it?
Ding-dong. Hi, my name is Debbie, and I am with the Democratic National Convention.
You did say Democrat?
Yes, I did.
Okay, we're MAGA Republicans here. Trump 2024, baby.
Okay, well, we're hoping to have a dialogue with you about a lot of the current events and some of the policies and how that can benefit your family.
Wait. Do you know about the Jewish space lasers?
The Jewish what?
You know, Marjorie Taylor Greene told me. She said there's Jewish space lasers. You don't know about the space lasers?
No, sir. I'm sorry, I don't.
Okay,
but I'd be willing to listen to
well, you heard of Q, haven't you?
Q who?
Q.
Talking about Quincy Jones?
No, I don't know no Quincy Jones, but I know Q.
Q.
Master
said, Q?
He said, no, not that Master Q either. Though
Barbecue?
I wouldn't eat at that place. Q. I believe in Q, as in QAnon, as in Trump 2024.
QAnon?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, sound like you need to go to Al-Anon.
You're confused. See, the problem is you libtards think you know everything. We won the election. Did you know that you guys stole the election? In Indiana, even though it was a red state, we won it by more than what they gave us.
Okay, so there were Republicans on the same ticket as Donald Trump was, and those Republicans did win too. So
no, ma'am.
Are you saying that?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. President Biden is not the right president. Trump 2024.
Okay, well, you do know that a lot of the challenges went through the courts, and every last one of them was stricken down.
Fake news. That's fake news. My president told me that's fake news. What else you got?
Your president?
My president.
Okay, so you know that there's only one sitting president in the United States.
I do, and it's Donald Trump.
Okay, but he's at Mar-a-Lago right now.
That's the new White House.
No, that's not even a house. That's a resort of sorts.
Fake news.
Sir,
nope, I'm not. Fake news.
Sir, I'm very sorry to burst your bubble, but this is the truth. It's been validated
Fake
and
news.
Substantiated
Trump 2024.
by many independent sources.
Let me ask you a question. Can you see the flag behind me?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a veteran for Trump. Trump 2024.
According to Trump, you was a sucker or a loser.
Never said that. Fake news.
It's been validated that he did say that.
Don Jr. told me personally that's not true.
Okay.
The best is yet to come.
All right. sir. Have a good day.
Scene. So, folks, first of all, you know that I'm no venture for Trump, but the insanity that you just heard, you probably laughed your asses off listening to that, is the insanity that we hear out here. Debbie and I literally see cars going by with Trump 2024 flags. We see the most unkept lawns, the most dirtiest houses, cars on cinder blocks. I didn't even know that was still a thing, with Trump signs and shrines to Donald Trump, who would not, as I say bluntly, would not pee on these people if they were on fire. So that was a skit. It was all in fun. But that is the insanity that you see at the Trump rallies, that you see out here in Northwest Indiana. And the problem is the whole Republican Party, with the exception of Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, don't call this insanity out. So that was in fun, but in reality, that is how crazy it is out here. So final world's view or whatever you got, it's your turn.
Again, okay, so we just had that. You always try to be a down home guy. I'm used to hearing that little accent and that, little diatribe. But here again, balance. I am not a fan of any politician. I mean, I know they're here, they serve, they're supposed to serve we the people. I up until recently didn't even have an opinion one way or another, but a lot of this is just so obvious. The imbalance and quite frankly, the insanity. So I just hope that we can get back to a society. I don't know if it was ever really balanced, but get to a society that appreciates the need for balance. You can't, there are things that we as a country would like to do. It would be good to do. We could maybe move towards that direction, but it may not be possible to do it at this point in time. Especially things that benefit human beings and their quality of life. But then on the flip side, the cold-heartedness that I see from a lot of people until it's them, okay? Until it's them, the socialism and, they always want things from the government and this and this and that. Then you have a disaster like what happened in Florida with the hurricane, and people realize the need for help. I mean, these disasters come and they destroy everything that many people have worked their whole lives for. And if they don't have insurance, which I'm told that it was kind of hard to get insurance in places like Florida and Louisiana. One of the major companies is not even writing homeowners policies in Louisiana. And I'm told where you and I, we don't pay but over maybe $100 and something a month on our insurance. There's people that's paying a whole lot. A lady told me today about $8,000 a year on some policies.
Wow.
So, when you look at that, okay, where's the balance? On the flip side, you got people that's trying to skim and cheat the government and don't realize that they're part of the problem, because that's some of why our premiums are increasing. Because I think we're all going to feel it. I may not feel it as much as somebody in Louisiana, but our rates will go up too. I mean, these companies are nationwide. That's how they operate. And they are in business for a profit. So they're not giving anything away. So, I just wish we could get to a place where we were balanced and realize that we should have compassion and empathy and sympathy for one another. And we need to be giving, but we don't need to give away everything because we can't. We're not there.
Right. I agree with everything you just said. The only thing that I would add to it is that, it was here before the not being balanced. It's gotten worse. It got worse during the pandemic because the pandemic really showed what people were made of with the selfishness. And I agree. It's not my problem until it's my problem. And that mentality is never going to work. You know, I always talk about the I and the we. It has to be we. Unfortunately, we'll never get a consensus, but if we can get more people to the we side, and the other point on what you're talking about is even the people that I can't even talk to anymore, if you really stripped away all the bullshit stuff that where they align themselves with Trump and you peel them back, and you know this as well as I do, we really have more in common with the things that we want for our children, for ourselves, for, you know, we want the American dream. But the thing is, they want it for themselves, and nobody else should be able to get these things. And that's never going to work. The I will never work. Okay.
Right.
All right.
I agree.
On that note, that's our debut show of a world view from us two. Again, leave your comments below the video. Please subscribe to the channel. Retweet this. Debbie, give them your Twitter handle.
Bayou Girl 50.
Okay. At BioGirl50, right? She doesn't use Twitter that much, but she's gonna have to start using it more. She's a Facebook, oh God, person.
Yeah, but you threw me a curveball when you asked me
Okay.
for my handle. I should have asked you for my handle.
And follow me on Twitter. It's at BadBradRSR. And I will close out and then give you back the mic. You know how I close every show that I do. Every act of kindness is a little love we leave behind. Go for it.
Okay. Well, I guess I don't have a saying. I'll have to think of something. But you never go wrong when you're compassionate. You never go wrong when you show humanity. And life is actually just too short for all of the drama. So enjoy your life, love the people that you love, and be happy.
All right. Love you, babe.
Love you too.
All right.
Go bourgeois.
Good night, everyone.